before the episode gets started, I just wanted to give everyone a brief heads up that this is episode 69. And, well, more than once, there was a few innuendos of sorts thrown out in this episode. So we just wanted to give everyone a heads up before they listen to it in front of their kids, family, church friends, that type of thing. So we've cut out all the swear words, but those innuendos, if we cut them out of this episode, it would have been about 20 minutes long. So hope you guys enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 69 of Cross Atlantic Gaming. I'm your host, Risky the Kid, and joining me this week is my co-host, Chocolate Bear.
How you doing?
And in our guest spot for the day, we have Mr. Danpod.
What's up? Danpod 69.
Danpod 69.
Episode 69. Danpod 69.
Welcome back to the show. Starting it off with a bang for episode 69. But before we get into the episode, first I did want to shout out our newest patron, and that patron is Snoozles.
Woo!
So
Yeah.
Snoozles, thanks for the support. If you want to be like Snoozles, head on over to patreon.com/CAG podcast and be awesome like Snoozles. We appreciate the support from everybody. You guys are all awesome.
You the man.
Woman, but hey, close
You
enough.
the woman. Hey, she can be the man. It's 2019.
True. Be who you want to be. All right. Chocolate, you don't have anything to get to before we just get into this, right?
No, not that I know of.
Nothing really going on. All right. Hey, nice and easy. Just the way I like it. All right. Another week. Yep. So another week in gaming. What have we all been playing? Let's start with Chocolate, and let's talk some Zelda: A Link to the Past. Are you playing this on the brand new Super Nintendo online stuff on the Switch?
I am indeed, yeah. It's, I suppose, for the beating that I've been getting in Discord for not playing a Zelda game and getting rid of Breath of the Wild.
Oh boy, I think you're going to break more hearts telling people you returned Breath of the Wild to go back and play Link to the Past. Although I'm sure it's a great game. I've never played it, but
I'm just trying to get the story, honest. So
I
yeah,
can send you a YouTube link.
I should sit down and do that instead. But no, so I'm playing this when I'm at work on my break. So yeah, it's giving me that nostalgia of missing playing the old NES. So
SNES.
Yes, yeah, it's same system.
Letters are confusing, and no, it's not the same system. Come on,
the
Chocolate.
SNES. I know. The SNES. Yeah. At the moment, I'm stuck. So I've picked up the princess, and I'm just roaming around the castle because I can't get out. And
That's the most Chocolate thing I would have expected. Like, I expected nothing less than for you to tell me that you got stuck on an SNES game from 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, they don't give you any waypoints. I need a waypoint.
Oh boy, I can't wait for this Blair Witch talk we're gonna have in a little bit here.
Oh God, don't get me started on that. But yeah, it's given me that kind of nostalgia vibe. I'm enjoying it. I'm only playing it in kind of like short 30-minute bursts, but it's nice. I'm enjoying it, and it really frustrates me as well because I remember what the hitboxes were like. You can only go left, right, up, down.
Yeah, no. Is it orthogonal?
I'll leave you with that strange word if you say so. So yeah, it was a quick learning curve to remember that you had to either be side on, straight on to get the hit. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Now I have to look up this word that I just tried saying because otherwise it's gonna
Please
bother
do.
me.
I'm lost.
Orthogonal. Oh my God! Why can't I say that?
Welcome to podcast 69.
It involves. It's just right angle. Here, I put it in my phone. Here. Orthogonal. Yeah, that's when you can only do the up, down, left, right thing. You're welcome, everybody.
That's like when you were talking about Gears 5 and you talked about roadie running, and I had no idea what you're talking about.
What
and
are
I was
you
like,
talking about?
I could put two and two together, but I had never heard that expression before.
Like, but why are we calling it that? And then I'm like, I'm not sure. I only say it because I've heard other people say it.
I'm sure that's what it was in the first. Right in the first game.
Did they
that
actually
was there.
label it in the first game, and then they
I
stopped
want-
calling it that?
I want to say I could be completely wrong, and people are going to go, "Oh, you idiot," as normal. But I'm sure it was roadie. It was the roadie run or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So I was like, I still hate the roadie run. And he was like, what? I was like, I haven't heard that word in like 10 years.
If I had played Gears 1 or 2 or 3
Judgment
or 4.
Yeah, or Judgment. Oh, don't play that. God.
Sorry.
it's too funny.
I was unfamiliar with the terminology I needed to study before I could play Gears 5.
Yep.
My bad.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand that chocolate not being able to attack diagonal, not great.
Yeah, pain in my rear.
Well, it's also not not moving diagonal, right?
Yeah, so I think you can. So with the Switch, with the control, you can kind of get a slight diagonal walk on
By
but
like
you can't,
up left, up left, up left, up left.
yeah, you can kind of veer left in a diagonalish way, but it's all about the hitboxes. You can't, the way the enemies walk, the patterns they've got, it is just up, down, left, right.
Just you gotta hit them straight on from one of those 4 directions. Makes sense.
But if you're straight on and they're coming at you, you hit their sword because their sword is sticking out slightly more than their head. It's so strange.
Yeah. So, what was I gonna say? Oh, I bought this. Man, I'm not gonna remember who makes it. Oh no, Hori. Okay, so Hori, I bought a left Joy-Con, just the left Joy-Con, but it has an actual D-pad instead of like the buttons, because it was like $14 or something, and it works completely like a normal Joy-Con. It's Mario themed, so that's cool too. But for all those old school like the SNES games and the NES games, having an actual D-pad on my left side, it's so nice compared to using the joystick.
Have they raised that up so it's the joystick level, or is it still kind of lower set?
I mean, I would say it's higher than the buttons, but lower than joystick. So
okay,
it is perfectly comfortable for $15, and it looks cool, but it doesn't have rumble or anything. It's pretty standard, other than that, but it's great for those kind of games for sure.
Cool. I was thinking about buying the SNES controller.
Oh yeah, and actually, I put it in quick hits, but I'll just talk about it now quick. That SNES controller is available for purchase now, and it starts shipping on the 18th, which is tomorrow for people that are listening when the podcast comes out. So that's $29.99, and you do have to be a Switch Online member. But
yes,
that's like half the cost they normally make controllers. So if you're into the SNES controller, this looks pretty awesome. And we talked about it last week. But you can purchase it now, and it'll start shipping real soon. So, good news. All right, I'm assuming you don't have anything else to add for Link to the Past?
No, not for an hour's play.
Yep, and what are the chances that you continue playing this next week?
Slim to none.
All right, perfect.
So that'll be wrapping up all segments on that game.
Yeah, so
Neatly with a bow.
Link to the Past, removed forever. Chocolate gave it a shot. That's all we could ask for.
Exactly.
Well, we were talking about the roadie run, so it would have been a great transition.
I know. I couldn't keep it in. I'm sorry.
Over into Gears 5, which, Dan, you can start the conversation off because I think you're the only one here out of all 4 of the hosts, actually, or all 3 of us that have actually beat Gears 5.
It's
first
awesome.
off, good for you. I just need to focus. I think that's my problem. So you finished it. Summarize. You enjoyed.
It takes a surprising amount of time, like especially for a single player campaign. Like I remember when 4 hours to get through a single player campaign was like, yeah, this is a pretty good one. I had way more than 4 hours into Gears to get all the way through it, and I didn't even do all the stuff. There's side missions, and I mean, you can definitely cruise through it and just play the main things if you're trying to go fast. But even doing that, it's I thought it was great. I mean, it was fantastic. I had no idea about any of the story because I had not played any of the previous Gears.
Did you end up watching a video on YouTube or anything, or did you just stick with the video that was provided to you by the game?
So I made the mistake of just starting playing like, it's, you chainsaw, the alien things in half. How complicated can it be? I was so wrong. I could not be more wrong. The story in the previous 4 games is pretty insane. So, and I started to realize that, which I'm not going to have any spoilers here, but I got to a point in the game where I started going places and seeing things, and I was like, I don't understand what's happening. And so I actually had to go back and watched like 4 or 5 25 to 40 minute YouTube videos that summarize the intricacies of the previous Gears games, and that helped out tremendously. I would highly recommend, if you are going to play the game, that if you've played all 4 of them previously, then good on you, and I'm sure you'll be right at home. If you haven't, definitely study up, because the story's pretty much meaningless if you have no idea what's going on. But it's fantastic if you know what has happened in the previous games. So it really, they've done a great job of continuing to continue the major story arc. And probably with the original Gears, they weren't sure that it was going to continue. And they have, because how do you make a game and you're like, we're going to make 12 games of content out of this, and this is our roadmap. So each one, they have to like leave it open-ended enough that they can make another one, but closed-ended enough that if that's the last one, that there's some resolution. And that's difficult to do, and they did a really good job with that. And the boss fights, and a lot of it's just grinding the hordes and doing that type of stuff, but then you reach mini bosses and there's main boss fights, and it's just, I had a blast playing it. I'd pick it up and it would be like 6 hours later, and I'd be like, well, shit.
What happened?
I had to mow the lawn, and I had stuff to do, and
none of those adult things got done today.
But it was great. Yeah, I freaking loved it, man. It was definitely worth to play through.
Have you touched any of the horde mode or the new escape mode or anything like that yet?
I did not. So that's the one thing I won't be able to weigh in on. I basically grinded the entire campaign, and as soon as I set it down, I started playing other stuff, so I haven't gone back around to it yet. I will, though, because it's fun enough. And multiplayer is super fun. Obviously, we've done that as community plays before and stuff like that, and I think that's a great game for that, because it's not as Twitch type shooty and as like intricate and precise as some other games. It's kind of more of a bruiser, so anybody can pick it up and have fun with it, and I think
feels
it's
more
awesome.
arcadey.
Yeah,
less technical.
Yeah, and I think it's fantastic for that. I think it has a very low barrier for entry, and anybody can pick it up and have fun with it. And there's not very many over the shoulder third person shooters that really work for me. And anytime I've ever played any Gears, I've had fun with it. So that says a lot about their mechanics and how all that stuff works. And also, reloading as a minigame is fun. So
hitting that RB button at the right time.
It gets to the point where you don't even have to look. You just know. You know how long.
Yeah, that's what I said last week. I was like, eventually it's just kind of like, and yep, right there. Nailed it. So you play on, for those of you who don't know, Dan plays on a 80-inch 4K television. It's humongous.
82. Let's not shortchange.
82-inch. Sorry.
2 inches is a lot. Okay.
Episode 69.
Episode 69.
So, how did this thing look? Because you do have an Xbox One X as well, so I'm assuming it was nice in 4K.
Gorgeous. This game is gorgeous. So, right at the beginning, you tweak your HDR settings, and it's a beautiful game. I mean, it's an outstandingly beautiful game. There are some weird, like, game breaking glitches that I had through my playthrough, which I think it's just because I played it and completed it, and I got a patch to the game after I had already completed it. So I'm sure they've probably already resolved some of the issues that people ran into. But even with that being said, it's just such a beautiful game, and there's so many. in this particular one, I don't know for sure about previous ones, but you go to several very different places in this one. So again, I don't want to spoil anything, but you have such diversity of the terrain, and all of it is beautiful. So like, it's everything, every place that you go and everywhere that you look is really, really, really pretty. So I think they did an outstanding job with everything on this game. I think it's probably our best first-party game that we have
to date.
Our best series.
Awesome.
So contrast those first two chapters, going from such a beautiful, lush drop to then a kind of a turn.
Yeah.
And even that turn is, as you say, it glistens, doesn't it? It's so good.
We're just going to dance around this so that there are no spoilers. But yeah, it's quite a change, and all of it's beautiful. Everywhere that you go is pretty in its own way.
So instead of completing Acts 1 and 2, I've now completed Act 1 and then Act 1 again, because that's how you should definitely be playing video games. But what I did do is I played as Jack. So I was playing with 3 people, had to play as Jack because that's how that happened. And
did you get the short straw on that?
Yeah, well, it was kind of like, I've already gone through this, you guys haven't, so whatever, I'll do it.
Fall on that sword.
Whatever Jack does in your game when you're playing is like JD. Let's just say you're not doing much more than that when you're controlling him as a player. I was literally like the invisible claw machine that would go pick up ammo boxes, and I would taser people because I could do that. But like, I don't know. It's real weird that there's not a third option for you to not have to play as Jack, because I really don't like it at all. And I know that I think Shine, I had a conversation with him about it because he's also doing a playthrough with 2 other people, and he's playing as Jack. And he seems to love it for whatever reason. And I don't get it, because if I had a choice, I'd much rather be the person that can go hide and shoot guns and chainsaw through things, not be the little robot that brings your friends ammo boxes and tasers people.
What if Jack had a chainsaw?
If Jack had a chainsaw, it could be a lot more fun. And it was really funny because my thought process when I first started playing was like, all right, they're not going to make it so I only have a taser, right? So I expected that when I picked up the claw machine, I would just be able to like fire these rifles.
Nah.
Like, no, not at all. That's not a thing. So
Jack is if you're playing and your girlfriend, who doesn't really play games but wants to play,
get to be Jack.
plays, it's the perfect character. It's a great role for that. But yeah.
Yep. So I was the girlfriend for that playthrough so far. So let me
But
tell
you're
you,
missing
Act
would
1 is
not be
great.
the first time.
Oh boy, episode 69.
Episode 69.
But yeah, I mean, I echo everything you said. I obviously have not gotten through the game yet, but it's only 4 acts, and I've gone through the first one twice, so that's like almost 50% of the way through the game.
It's just simple math.
Yeah. So
It's basic, rudimentary math.
all right, Chocolate, you also got to play some Gears 5. Did you check out Horde mode or anything? Is that what you were doing?
I've checked out so far escape mode.
Oh, nice. How's that? That's completely different. So
It is. I would suggest never playing with random people at all.
yeah, that seems fair. It seems like a very, very cooperative mode, especially if you're not playing with headsets.
Well, what makes it worse is that you drop with a limited supply of ammo, which I didn't know, and it's so limited that after you shoot the first bad guy, you're scrambling around to pick up anything. And if you've got 2 other people that are looking after themselves,
Just ammo vacuums.
oh my god, it is. You are literally running around with your knife going, I can't kill this person, I can't kill this one.
That's so rough.
But it is quite an exciting, quick fire round. I think it lasts, if you're speed running it maybe 5 minutes. But maybe if you're looking for all the ammo caches, it might take you 7 to 10 minutes. But it is fun. It's definitely fun. And I think I did a couple of multiplayer matches, like Team Deathmatch. and I hate the shotgun.
You
I
hate
really
the shotgun.
It's devastating
jeez.
up close.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible with it, as I am with any other gun.
I was going to say, so do you like any of the guns?
Not really. No, I'd rather play against bots, to be honest. But the best thing, yeah, you can play in arcade mode, so it obviously you stay away from ranked. You stay away from the better, kind of the cream of the crop. So yeah, the multiplayer is fun. Gears is always fun. It's just hard.
Or you're bad.
I am
Combination
bad as well.
of both.
A little bit. I did throw up a clip on Instagram with me finally killing someone, chainsawing him to death.
First
so.
kill after 13 hours of
I
multiplayer
was like,
gameplay.
yes. And I didn't shoot him in the back. Honest. Wink.
You chainsawed him in the front. It's much better.
Yep. Yeah, of course. 69.
No, what? I wasn't even taking that way. Gears, what a game. I definitely want to check out that Horde mode at some point. It sounds like you still have to check it out too.
Oh, definitely. I want to jump into Horde mode, but I can't set aside a good few hours. I think I spoke to someone on Discord and they said it took them 3 hours.
To hit level 50?
Yeah. Obviously, that's not going to take me 3 hours. It'll take me 6 or 7. So I need to block out a little bit more time. Or play with some really, really good people.
Oh, my God. You're too funny. Yeah. All right. Sweet. Gears 5. Good game.
It's more Gears.
If
you like Gears,
that's what I said
you're
last week.
gonna
I
like
was
this
like,
Gears.
If you like Gears 4, because I played some of that, this seems like more of that. Just prettier and smoother, and it's still Gears.
A lot more fetch questy as well.
Fetch quest.
Yeah,
like
I felt very
side
much
missions and stuff.
All those side missions were very. All of a sudden, I felt myself. I suppose fetch quest is not the right word, but I felt myself looking for like the collectibles and the things that you would not normally do in a Gears game.
Yeah.
So sometimes you would go collect the cogs, and you would always find the cogs because there was the gear kind of splash on the wall. But now the gear splash means that there's a relic weapon which is slightly more powerful, and finding the gear cog tags are more by chance. That frustrated the hell out of me.
Yeah, that was one thing I've heard kind of universally across the board, is that the whole like open world part kind of seemed unnecessary. Like they could have just done a focused Gears game without having that kind of stuff. But then I also heard that flying around on that little, not a hoverboard thing, whatever it's called, skiff, is that what it's called? Yeah,
Skiff,
it's a skiff. Yeah. Flying around on that is actually pretty fun. So
it's fantastic.
So do it just for that. Okay. Anyone have anything else for Gears 5 before we move on? Going once, going twice, and nope.
So,
one thing I hop back into, I mean, I'm always kind of hopping back into it, but Sea of Thieves finally dropped pets for everyone. The thing they've been talking about for what seems like an eternity has finally made its way into the main game. These are strictly cosmetic and strictly purchased with real world money. So there's that.
Woof.
Yeah, I mean, it's woof, but it's also the game needs a way to be monetizing at this point. They're doing week or monthly updates with new content, all that kind of stuff. So this is their way to make a little money back so they can continue to support the game and whatnot. I purchased a parrot. I named him Petey. When I initially named him Petey, it told me that was inappropriate and I could not name him Petey. So that was fun.
Episode 69.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Sea of Thieves. So I ended up having to call him Peetee. That's how I had to spell it. So got around that one. Suck it, Rare. But yeah, so they have this new currency called Ancient Coins. That's their premium currency. Some of us, I think, were kind of delusional thinking that the doubloons that you've been collecting in game that are kind of like a currency that's a little harder to get, you're going to be able to buy stuff with that. There's a new shop for that stuff that you can spend your doubloons on. It's outfits, some ship customizations, that kind of stuff. But the pets are strictly ancient coins. and I think they came out to right about $6 for a pet. Your pet can't do anything to help progress you in the game, so you can't carry anything. He really can't do anything. He just kind of flies around. I mean, I bought a parrot. He flies around. He makes a lot of noise when we're being attacked. I can pick him up. I can pet him. I can set him on things. I think it's really just another step to fulfilling that pirate fantasy, but really adds nothing to the game.
So no value
Perfect.
whatsoever, apart from $7.
Yeah, and I bought
Is it $7? Get out of here.
I don't know what it actually comes out to, but I obviously went with the best value pack of ancient coins. So
God.
I had to buy that, and then now I just have all these ancient coins. So I obviously had to buy pets. I had to buy some emotes, all that good stuff that the kids spend on like Fortnite.
So do you think that they're gonna rotate these things in? So do you think they're gonna continue to offer like new paid for content, and then maybe down the road stuff like pets will get rotated into like something you can buy with the doubloons? Or do you think it's gonna always be a paid for thing?
I think the pets will always be a paid for thing. I think some of the ship cosmetics will rotate into that doubloon thing, but the pets, I think they're just like putting those at just a different tier than everything because they've been talking about it for so long. And it's kind of funny because Meg bought a monkey, and when you hold the thing up, it's got like its teeth, I feel like, are super weird looking. Like they got scanned in weird or something, and it looks like it's gonna like bite your face. So you're carrying around this thing on your arm that has like red eyes and just looks like the devil and wants to kill you. It's
Double
weird.
monkey. Nice.
But yeah, so they have monkeys and birds so far. I think cats and dogs are the most likely candidate to be up next.
Who brings a cat on a ship?
Jesse, Prince of Cats, the pirate legend, is the first and only one that comes to mind. Other than that, I'm not sure. Cats hate water, so it just seems mean. But you can put all the animals into the cannons and fire them off. I quickly realized that as soon as Moose got on the ship, and just went to see how far he could fire a monkey off into space. So they go pretty far. And then I played with Lewis the other night, or Waterloo, and the first thing he did was grab my parrot, and it was like, "You drown these things?" And he just jumped off the boat holding onto it, and I was like, "What is wrong with my friends?"
Answering life's unanswered questions.
It's the one thing they want to figure out is how can I kill these in-game digital animals? It's like, you guys are serial killers. What is happening?
So,
but you can
did it
steal
drown?
pets, can't?
Yeah, you can steal pets. No, they don't drown. They just kind of disappear and then reappear back on the ship. So, I mean, in your head, you can pretend they drown, but I don't think it's very
PG the second.
Yeah, exactly. It just puts a 0.2 next to it, like a decimal. Yeah.
Version 1.1.
So yeah, and it's funny. So the monthly thing you're working towards right now, the rewards for it are doubloons, which you can't spend on the pets. So kind of weird, but yeah. So hey, pets are in Sea of Thieves now. If you're into that, go check them out. But keep in mind, you do have to spend your hard-earned money on that. And there's better things you can spend your hard-earned money on, like a sub to Cross Atlantic Gaming, patreon.com/CAG podcast. We're supposed to throw those up like that in the middle of the episode? I think so.
That was cheesy.
Yeah, my bad. Moving swiftly on. Dan, you and I, a couple weeks ago, got to dabble in the Ghost Recon Breakpoint beta. What a mess that was.
I thought it was great.
No, yeah, I mean, it was great, but
it's a little broken.
The amount of like good quality videos we got out of this and like screenshots of just the most broken things I've ever seen in video games, it's fantastic. I think first and foremost, we should talk about the big change from going from Wildlands to Breakpoint is that this game seems like it's way more of a looter shooter than, Wildlands wasn't really a looter shooter at all. So they're this is like Breakpoint / The Division / Wildlands.
Yeah.
Is it having an identity crisis? What's going on here?
It absolutely is. I'm very conflicted on this at the moment because
Agreed.
I put a ton of time into that beta. I definitely put at least 20 hours into that
That's
beta
insane.
over the weekend, just because I wanted to go everywhere that you could and play everything that you could in that, because we've had this conversation before that I'm not 100% committed to buying this game, and so I wanted to play the beta a bunch just to see if it was going to be something I was okay with, because it's not a Tom Clancy game. It's just not. They have strayed from the formula, and I'm still on the fence about it. I still don't know. I mean, I had a lot of fun playing it, and I think I'll have a lot of fun playing it, but I hate the loot system. It's absolute garbage, and I don't like it at all.
You don't like having to just play with whatever gun you
No,
find that's
it's
the
trash.
highest level?
It's trash. And they've tried to rectify that by making these blueprints. So if you like a gun, you can go into the world, and there'll be set locations for these, and you'll find the blueprint for it, and then you can take that blueprint back to your, the base of operations, which it's not really a spoiler because you go there immediately when the game starts, and it's your like secret hideout for the whole game. So it's not like it's going to be a secret. So you can go there and use like currency and weapon parts and things from breaking down all of the crappy guns that you don't want to use, and you can build a version of the gun that you want. The problem that I have with this is that every friggin' level that you go up, you're going to have to build a new stupid version of this gun, and if you find like more rare variants, so because it's colored, so you have like common and uncommon and rare and legendary, and so like if you find like a super good version of a gun that you hate, because you can't build those, at least as far as I know. This may change, or it may be different, or maybe we just weren't able to get high enough levels, so I'm not sure yet. But as far as what I was able to ascertain from the beta, you can't build like one of the higher end variants of a gun that you want. You have to just find it somewhere at some point as a random chance drop from killing somebody or looting a stash or something like that.
It's just kind of like, just seems like every other looter shooter where it's like, I don't need to worry about what I'm equipping until I'm at max level, because nothing is going to be relevant. It's going to just be equip your highest gear, equip your highest weapon, just like the Division. And then once you hit max level, then you start actually trying to optimize. And a lot of people, me specifically, I'm usually burned out by the time I get to end game where I need to start actually doing that stuff. So it's just,
and
it's weird.
They definitely know that it's an issue, because for your character, you have your gear that's equipped, and then you also have an entirely separate menu for what you are actually visibly wearing. So if you pick up like a helmet that's like a doofy looking helmet, but it's a really high level, obviously you're going to use that because that's your highest level gear. But maybe you want to play as a sniper and he needs to have a ghillie suit and he's not going to be wearing a helmet, so you wouldn't be using that gear. So it's like they acknowledge that it's a stupid system, so they built an entirely different menu as a sub-menu to the menu so that you can select the things that you want to look like separate from the things that you have to be wearing because they're higher level.
Yeah,
and that's just stupid.
Dumb. It's transmog, which is what a lot of people ask for in these games, but a lot of that's geared towards the end game as well, where it's like, this is how I want to look, this is the equipment I want. But, like, having to switch that up every time you get a new... Is that what you have to do? Like, do you have to... Every time you get a higher helmet, let's say, do you have to, switch that over so it looks like the helmet you want every single level?
No. So, they have it as, like, a switch. So, they're in the menu. There is... when you're looking at your gear that you actually have equipped, so the leveled gear that you have equipped because it's a high level, at the bottom of that page, you can flip a switch on and off where you override the cosmetics of the character with the sub-menu. So you can turn that off so that every time that you equip new things that are higher level to your character, that it changes how your guy looks, or you can turn that back on, and then you only have to change the things that are in the sub-menu. And then whatever's on the sub-menu doesn't change. So unless you go in there and alter it and change it. So you can continue to swap out your higher level gear without having to change it every single time. Regardless, it's dumb. I don't like it. It's stupid. There's no point. Like, in real life, a level 32 helmet is not more effective than a level 85 helmet. It's dumb. I hate everything about that system.
Could you then have a sniper rifle and then change it so it looked like a shotgun and then snipe people from 1,000 yards?
No, the only exception is weapons. And also, this comes back down to like what is dumb, because in the early game, you're not going to have blueprints and you're not going to have the things where you can make the guns that you want to have. So you're going to be stuck playing with guns and variants of guns that you don't want to play with just because you can't alter them. Like, whatever the if you all of your guns are level 9 and you're a level 14 and you've only picked up one level 14 rifle and it's a stupid one that you wouldn't want to use, guess what? You're going to use that because it's for body damage and stuff. It makes a huge difference. Now, I'll give one caveat to this, because I'm kind of picking on this game a little bit, but they'd have kept it where if you shoot people in the head, they die.
Yes.
So
thank God.
Regardless of what level stuff that you're using, as far as guns are concerned, regardless of what level your guns are, if you shoot somebody in the face, they die, unless they're wearing a helmet of some kind, in which case the first round will knock the helmet off their head, the second round will kill the target.
And that's this might be the saving grace for people who aren't really into looter shooters, is that it's still, in that way, it still feels like a Tom Clancy game. It still feels a little like Wildlands, where if you want to do this stealthily, you want to play co-op with 4 friends, you can still definitely get that experience. Sneaking up on people, setting up your, doing sync shots with sniper rifles, that's 100% still a thing. But then you have this weird added layer of loot and shoot and grind.
Yep.
I think people that are on the fence about this, or even are expecting a Wildlands 2, you shouldn't be. And you need to know that going into this, because if you're going in thinking you're getting Wildlands 2, you're not. You're getting a weird Wildlands/Division hybrid, and that's definitely worth knowing, because people that aren't into loot and shooters, this probably isn't going to be for you. Not even close.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because that's definitely a big, there's going to be a raid at the end of this game, and that's something that's going to be dependent on your level. And that's so what you said, if you hit somebody in the head, they're going to die. Cool. But there's also these, drones are so prevalent in this game. They're everywhere, and those are the bullet spongy boss things that I feel like that's really going to be where your level comes into play, where your damage numbers come into play, not so much the dudes that just have fleshy faces that you can blow off.
Yep. And not only that, if you have a low level weapon and even if you're just shooting at people, so even if it's just NPCs that you're shooting at, if you do not dome them, if you have an underpowered gun, they are bullet sponges as well. So it may take 20 rounds to
in the chest right,
to kill that person. But it's still only one to the head. So it kind of adds this layer to the game where it's literally you only shoot people in the face. You do not aim anywhere else.
You're going to get punished going loud in this game.
So, I would run all of my guns on semi and only shoot people in the head. I ultimately ended up turning it into...
Makes sense.
That is the
Stealth
only way
game.
that you can play, because you can't... and that makes it so the other mechanics, doing sync shots, if you're going to play with your friends, become so much more of a higher level of skill that you have to have as a group to execute those things, that I think it just raises the barrier for, you don't need to be a Navy SEAL to play a game unless you're playing Breakpoint, and then you need to have those skills already where you can dome shoot people from 400 yards away, because if you don't hit them in the dome, you're going to ruin everything for your whole squad.
I was going to say, so what I'm hearing here is that we should not invite Chocolate to our playthrough.
Definitely not. I'll be, firing cardboard cutouts just around them.
just painting that outline right around them.
Exactly.
I like it.
All I'm about, center mass, easiest target.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the game's fun, though. I like both genres. It definitely has some things. There was some weird stuff going on with healing, where I was healing you on the screen, and you'd heal me, and I would show up as like not alive, but you also couldn't actually revive me after you tried to do it once or something. It was weird.
There was some weird bugs. If you remember the Wildlands beta, this is like light years ahead of that. So
That's fair.
I at least have a little bit of faith that this actually seems like it's mostly done. There's definitely some weird bugs that were left. Like, and one of the things we were talking about, if you were watching on Mixer before we started up, is I have so many pictures that I've taken of my screen because so many weird, stupid things, like weird type bugs. Like Zach came to pick me up in a helicopter at one point, and his body was like 20 feet in front of the cockpit of the helicopter, but he was perfectly in the seated position like he was driving the helicopter. He just wasn't in it. He was just outside of it. And
and I had this weird thing when I looked at you. It was like any piece of equipment or device that you had equipped into your hand, it didn't go away when you were done with it. So you had like a rifle and a drone and a stim pack and a grenade all just like lumped together in your one hand. And it's just the most ridiculous looking thing. All right, we're gonna.
So they've got time to fix those things.
Yeah.
As much as I just shit on this game, it's super fun to play. I'm not saying that it's not fun to play. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I think that there's potential there. I just don't like it didn't need to have the looty shooty crap and the other stuff to be fun. I don't think that adds to the fun. I think that the mechanics of the game are fun on its own, and it doesn't need that bullshit.
Right. Like Wildlands 1.5 would have been fine.
Yeah, would have been fine. They didn't need to reinvent the wheel that was already working.
Agree. Like you have two different franchises that are going two different directions. With the Division and Wildlands, you didn't need to try to mix them, and they did for some reason. So,
yeah, at the same time.
Yeah,
they're both out on the market. Like they're competing games essentially.
Exactly. Breakpoint comes out October 4th, though, so there's a little more time to look into that if you are interested. So, make sure to check it out. I do think it's going to be a great co-op game. It's still going to have, like, the headshots, if that's what you're into. Stealthy with headshots, which is how we played Wildlands. I'm into it. So, we'll definitely have more to say about that in the coming weeks if we end up picking it up. So, stay tuned for that. All right, the last game of the day that we're going to talk about is Borderlands 3, another game like Gears that I've never finished any of the games prior to it, so watched lots of recap videos for this one too. It's just how I roll with games nowadays, I guess. But we've all taken some time to get into this new game, this new Borderlands game. Let's start off with what classes are we all going with? So, Chocolate, we'll start with you. Who are you playing with for your Borderlands 3 playthrough?
Mose was the only one I could think of that related to the way I play terribly.
And Mose, that's just the mech lady, right?
Yeah, mech lady. I can't think of her actual title, but yeah, I just went with
I think it's just Gunner is what it's called, so makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's a bit like Borderlands 2, the Gunzerker.
And then that's also, Dan, you're playing as Mose, right?
Mose is the best.
Yeah, so I mean that makes sense. And then I had a chance to play. I played Beastmaster for a little bit when I was playing by myself, and then I swapped over to FaZe. I think his name's FaZe. I always want to call him Mirage because he makes a duplicate of himself. But FaZe, I believe, is his name.
There's definitely some Apex
influence
going on.
That ping system, though, killing it. It's great. And that slide, that
sliding downhill,
slide
indefinitely.
Oh yeah,
also great.
Oh man, I will say that I'm having a ton of fun with this game, and it's weird because going into like any Borderlands game, any of the ones that I've tried, I've kind of always taken issue with the cell shading in this game because to me it feels more on the lazy side than it does like the artistic side. Kind of like, well, we didn't really care about making this game look great, so here's some edges, and then we're gonna throw this on top of it. It's like, okay, whatever. But when you have this game set in resolution mode, like playing with good hardware on good screens, it's like it's the best looking Borderlands, which is a weird thing for me to say because it's all cel shaded. This is a game that will look the same way and not seem that dated 20 years from now, just like how 8-bit and 16-bit games don't seem to age. Borderlands is kind of in the same boat because of the direction they went with the art. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Some people are into it, some people aren't. I'm kind of in a weird middle ground where this one, for whatever reason, I'm enjoying more. And I don't know if that's because of the gun mechanics feel a little smoother. How are you guys enjoying shooting those guns? All those billion different varieties of guns.
There seems to be a lot of guns with a lot of scopes, which does not help me at all, and it never has in Borderlands.
Just
it never
whenever
has.
you get comfortable with one, you just immediately get a new one and have to learn that new gun.
Exactly. It does feel a lot tighter, the gun mechanics, and obviously the variant of pushing down on your D-pad with some of them having an alternate fire.
Dude, that's so good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Whatever class of gun that is, I don't know. The Borderlands experts definitely know exactly the manufacturer of said guns, but when I have a sniper rifle that I hit down on the D-pad and it turns into an RPG, you can't beat that. That's everything I've ever wanted in a weapon.
Oh, man.
And we're not even talking about guns that run around with legs yet. Come on.
Yeah, like that when we were playing that gun that you had, that when you reloaded, you just throw it.
You throw the gun,
it bounces around, and it says "ouch" when it hits things, and then it explodes. So it's like "ow, ow, ow," and then it blows up.
Those are the most fun to throw over towards your friends because they just bounce by them, ow, 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 and they just blow up 20 yards out of them.
I think Borderlands does an outstanding job of not taking itself too seriously, and it's just so unique in that they basically created their own genre and then they just kick ass at it. And
and no one else touches it, I feel like. Or if other people try, it just falls short.
Yeah.
This is their 5th game in total. Pre-sequel 1, 2, 3, Tales, and they're all funny.
Take Tales.
Wait, what?
I said you can't add Tales to it.
I can add Tales. It is a branded Borderlands game. TM. So
there.
Well, I mean, yes, it was not the typical, but the writing, okay?
Oh, the writing, the story.
The writing between the 5
humor.
of them has never really strayed from just being a high school toilet humor, and I love it so much.
They seem to nail and get it on point. Every kind of little quip, joke, like this whole thing now where your bad guys are the streamers taking over the world, brainwashing
They
people.
really make you want to kill them. It's so easy to hate them for so many reasons, and it's great. I can't wait to murder them.
Yeah, and we were talking about, there's got to be thousands of lines of dialogue in this game that have nothing to do with the main story. It's just shit that characters say,
just the little quips, yeah,
in the background that are just so funny, and it's who even comes up with this?
That's what
stuff?
I said. I was like, do you think all the writers just got wasted one night and they're like, all right, we're gonna keep this tape recorder going the whole night. As we get drunker, we'll have funnier lines, and then they just didn't cut any of it out. They were just like, yeah, we're going to use every single line that we heard that night, whether or not we remember saying them. These all work. That's what they throw at you.
It's just the best toilet humor ever.
I was trying to think of one of the side mission bosses. I think it's for Ellie. You have to go kill, and I can't think of his name. I should have wrote it down. You go attack him, and then you get an extra bonus for shooting him in the arse.
Yeah. Oh, the dump truck guy or something?
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
So I was playing
Bulldozer.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
And I was playing with Dan, and he was up, and he actually found him before I did. I was at the bottom of a tower. I was like, Dan, make sure you shoot him in the ass, because it was a bonus objective.
But he turns over, Ben shakes it. It's no.
And I think Dan yelled, I brown-holed him. Something like that. Episode 69.
Okay, I have to bring this up because it's episode 69. Now, minor spoilers. Have either of you guys gotten to Kilowatt yet? I'll take that as a no.
Person or a location?
You'll know. So that's a no. So one of the things about Kilowatt, and I'm not spoiling anything here, but Maze tells you to shoot him in the dick, and when you do, it just says "dicked" across the screen, across the center of the screen. So that's the objective, and then I use the gun that I'm using the most right now because it's the highest level is a 6-shooter revolver, and so you can just rapidly fire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so it's just dick to dick to dick to dick to dick in the middle of the screen.
Is this the one that does he have all the speakers around the room?
No.
This is further past that. Okay.
Further past
Oh yeah,
that.
that guy's name was like Mouth Guard or something. Mouthpiece or something.
Mouthpiece, wasn't it, or
Mouthpiece.
something?
Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
This
But
guy's-
no, I don't think I'm at Kilowatt yet.
He's not much further.
Is that on the
past
second
that guy.
the second world or the first new world you go to? I guess.
Yes.
And I will say that it's weird going to, at least from the Borderlands I've played, like going to a different planet, seeing how different it is. Like when you move down to that second world, it's again like cyberpunk vibes when you're flying in and playing down there. I haven't played a ton. On that world, but
Yeah, I think
it's different looking, which is nice.
keeping it not stale. I think that's awesome for that, so that it gives enough variety in what you're doing that even though
Right.
you're doing the same thing every place, it still feels new.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a ton more to say. This is
Can't
what
say
we've
enough
been.
good things about
Well,
Borderlands
yeah,
3.
definitely.
It is the only reason I haven't played Horde mode in Gears 5 because as soon as I cleared Gears, I was like, all right, I got to start playing Borderlands, and I have not
Haven't
put it down since then. So
That's awesome.
it's so good.
And the co-op's great. It's you can set it to 2 different modes, which is sweet. You can do it cooperative, where all the enemies you see are at your own level, all the loot's instanced, so you don't have to like fight for loot. Or you can play it on like traditional mode, where you have to race your friends to pick up the loot, and your levels aren't taken into consideration. Like it doesn't. If you're level 3 playing with me, I'm a level 15. You're gonna get wiped.
You're
gonna get wrecked. But the cool thing is they have sharing of weapons. So if you do pick up whatever weapons from killing the boss and someone else needs a good sniper rifle for whatever reason, you can trade with them. So that's cool. But the 2 playthroughs, I'm doing a solo playthrough, and then I played a little bit with Moose and Dan. And that one we're doing cooperatively. I think it makes more sense if you're playing with your friends, unless you're I don't know,
that other
super
version
competitive
is,
or only play together. Maybe that makes sense.
That other version should be called Your Friends mode.
Yeah,
that should be what it's called.
There it is.
I'm so sorry, Chocolate.
Type it down.
Do you know how long this page is already?
I'm doing good. Episode 69.
But I do think that the non-cooperative mode, I think, would be a lot of fun if you do have a save file where you're playing with the same people and only playing with them at the same time. So it's like there's never any disparity between your levels, so you're not going to get murdered by anyone. And then it kind of makes the actual loot chase a little more fun, a little more competitive, but also, like you said, a little more
as long as you hate your friends.
Hate your friends
That's all.
mode. Yeah.
I played that on the 360, hated it, and I'd have to wait for the person I used to play with to drop something nice for me, and I'd be like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's why you have 2 playthroughs, like my FLAC playthrough where I'm playing solo, and then the one when your friends are online. Yeah, it's good. Oh, the last thing and the best thing that they've added to this game, they added mantling. So maybe a decade behind there, but having mantling in this game is just, it's so much better because I'm getting to all these weird places that I could never get to in the other games, because if it was too tall, well, you were shit out of luck and you couldn't go up to it. But now if there's like storage containers, I know that I can hop from like one to the other to get to the very top. And then sometimes you get to the top and there's just a toilet sitting on top of a crate and some money comes out of it, because that's Borderlands and that's how that works. But having the option to traverse the world a little bit more is awesome. It's a small change, but very welcome, and just makes it feel so much better. The game as a whole just feels way better. But if you're looking for more Borderlands, that's exactly what you're gonna get. Same humor, bunch of new weapons. Most of them feel ridiculous, and that's a really good thing, because this game just sets itself apart so far from everything else, and I think that's what makes this game great. So
yeah, it's gotten some critical reviews where the people that were writing the review were like, it's just more of the same, and it's like,
yep.
Yeah, no shit, that's why I'm here. Like, that's because it's awesome. It doesn't.
This is
need
why
to be
we're upset
changed.
with Breakpoint.
Exactly.
Sometimes if you did something right, you might want to stick with it. Maybe add some things like mantling or more weapons or more planets, locations, stuff like that. Maybe don't turn your game into a loot and shooter if it's not. Anyways.
So much shade.
You guys have anything else to add for Borderlands before we move on to Game Pass Roulette?
No, if you don't have it, go get it. It's awesome.
100%. Chocolate, you good?
Agree, 100%.
All right. Good. All right, that's what we've been playing this week. This is a Game Pass Roulette game or episode, though. So let's move on to some Game Pass Roulette. All right, so the current Game Pass Roulette game that Chocolate picked, especially for Moose, and then look who didn't show up on the podcast. Interesting, huh? Very suspicious.
Yes.
That game, though, is the Blair Witch Project. But, of course, we weren't going to let Moose get out that easy and not give his thoughts. So I'm going to play a brief audio clip. It's about a minute and a half long of Moose's thoughts on the Blair Witch Project. So here's that.
What's up, guys? Moose here with my thoughts on the Blair Witch. The game was very disorienting, in my opinion. It seemed like the further you got into it, the more you were walking in circles. I don't know if that was game design or maybe I'm just terrible at it, but I got lost frequently and easily. I saw the bush monster a few times. He gave me one good jump scare, but as an overall, it wasn't super spooky as I was dreading. So that was good. I did take one positive from the game, though. It was Bullet, my German Shepherd, emotional support dog, I believe is what he is. He was just a little ray of sunshine in a dark storm of Hurricane Blair Witch. It seems like the character that you play is a war veteran going through some sort of PTSD, fighting his demons from his deployment. I have a little interest in who he is and what happened, but not enough to continue my playthrough. Maybe somebody can fill me in on Discord. As far as the scary game goes, this one is pretty tame. Creepy, sure. A little eerie, I'll concede that. But it wasn't scary in my opinion. This is most definitely not a challenge too chocolate or risky to find a scarier game to play. Just to sum up, in or out, I know we always do that. I've uninstalled the game from my Xbox, so I'm going to go ahead and say I'm out. See you guys next week.
All right, Moose. Thanks for that. So Moose, right off the bat, he's saying this is definitely a miss for him. Well, actually, he said out for him. He said in or out. It's like, oh, it's hit or miss. Close, Moose. You'll get it next time. He said that he uninstalled it. So there's that. Chocolate, how did you find your time with the Blair Witch Project?
I enjoyed it. So Moose saying that he only got one jump scare out of it was a little bit disappointing because I'm a very big baby. Because my hairs on my arms were tingling. I got I was just not petrified is the wrong word, but I could feel like anxiety building up as I was going through the forest and seeing the bush monster when it jumped out at you.
And that's one thing, like in your defense and my defense, because I will say I found it a little more scary than Moose seemed to say it was. But he was also, his whole playthrough, he streamed, so if you actually want the VOD of that,
he will be sending it to me. It will be going up on YouTube, hopefully.
Okay, so that will go up on YouTube. But I think when you're streaming it to people, and like I was in chat with him most of the time when he was playing, so it's like that kind of takes the edge off horror games when you're actually playing like with an audience to an audience. Whereas like you, I played it by myself with headphones on. It was dark, like it was nighttime. And I think that adds a ton to it. If you've got a mixer chat up on the side and you're talking to people while you're doing it, it's kind of makes it less scary, I think.
I think eerie is probably the better. Scary, it gives you a massive eerie vibe constantly, and you're always on edge, aren't
That's
you?
true. And I guess what he says is that there wasn't many jump scares, and I do think that's fair. I feel like there wasn't a ton of jump scares, really. Like the first time the red scary white monster thing pops out, that's good for a scare. And there's some like audio stuff that is maybe classified as scary, but yeah, I think you're right with just classifying it as eerie and less like jump scary, because that's not what this game is. I didn't really take issues with much. I don't think it's the best looking game. I also don't think this game had a huge budget, so that makes sense.
It felt very indie,
like double A, one of the few double A games that's released nowadays. Definitely. And I feel like the trailers did it way more justice than it should have. Like it did not look as good. Once I got in there, I swear to God, that game ran at like 15 frames a second for me. Just like moving around felt so clunky.
Moving in the controls definitely were not sharp, and
they're kind of weird. Like you use the right trigger to interact with everything. It's kind of
what platform did you play on?
I played on my One X, so
yeah.
So it shouldn't be 15 frames, is what you're saying.
I don't think so. It might have been 30, like maxed out at 30, but definitely with some drops. I also don't know if I'm just more in tune with that now, like lately, I guess.
PC Master Race now.
It'll happen. I didn't choose this life; it chose me. But yes, I didn't think it played well. I think the story is interesting, but not interesting enough for me to finish. Is this something you plan on getting all the way through, Chocolate?
Yeah, I'm gonna get through it. Shine posting that it was potentially, if off the top of my head, did you say 10, maybe 12 hours max?
That seems, I would say 10 max.
Yeah, so for that, yes, I'm going to go through. I think I'm about halfway, chapter 7 or 8.
Okay, yeah, so I stopped right around, I think I said chapter 8. There's 17 chapters, so close enough to halfway, and that only took me 3 hours, I feel like, maybe. This might be a way shorter game than we're thinking.
I think it comes down to more of the where you feel you get lost and you're walking around the set because you don't have that waypoint again, and it's all go back, play that video, go forward, go 2 steps back because you found the videotape from one that's a couple of steps back again. It is kind of very back and forth, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
I do think that's something that wore me down eventually, was kind of like, I'm running around in circles. I'm running into invisible walls and just kind of hugging them, trying to hope that I get to some type of corridor in the woods that I haven't been to or something. And I don't know if that's my fault for maybe missing something or maybe missing some type of cue. The only thing I really had to go off of is when your dog, which I'll say the dog is a great part. Moose also touched on that. The dog's probably the best part of this game. Go figure. But so there's an option when you have your like dog wheel up that's called Seek, I think. So he'll go out and hunt for if there's anything around that you should be checking out. But a lot of times in the game when you hit that, he doesn't do anything. And then your guy's just like, oh, nothing to see here, huh, bud? Or something like that. And it's like, nah, there's something to see somewhere because I've been stuck in the same 20-yard by 20-yard square and I can't figure out where to go. Am I slow, or is this game just not helping me as much as it should be? And I'm still not positive that maybe we're missing something. I know I tried to go off sound cues. That was a big thing. If I started to hear music coming from like one of my ears, I would go there, obviously. Or if you see something that's lit up in the distance, but a lot of time that just ended up being the same thing that I'd already been to 4 other times while I was wandering around aimlessly in the woods. Yeah, I mean, just in general, this isn't my type of genre or type of game. So I don't know. I'm going to throw it over to Shine for his feedback on the Blair Witch Project. This is what Shine had to say. Just finished it. Definitely going to play through again after Gears as I want to see the different endings. He does have 2 complaints, though. First, in the final area, there were times I couldn't move without crouching, even though there was nothing to indicate I needed to crouch. Oh, that's super annoying. So I'm not sure if it was a glitch or something intentional. Second, the final part dragged on too long for my taste. A lot of insight into things, but think they could have done it better and made the sections shorter. All in all, I liked it. There were some good jump scares in there, and they did great throughout the game for foreshadowing things and giving you an idea of what you need to do to get a different ending. I didn't run into any of that stuff personally, but I'll take your word for it. Chocolate, you can figure out what he's talking about later.
Yep.
But I'm glad you enjoyed it, Shine, and hopefully this was a game you weren't going to touch otherwise. So that's what this segment's about. So thanks for the feedback, Shine. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton more to say about it. Chocolate, if you do.
No, I've enjoyed it. I do like it. I think doing it in small chunks gives you a little bit more tolerance to the game. For my personal,
that makes sense.
But yeah, like I said, I have, and I am enjoying it, and will finish it off because it's a short one.
And that's when, oh boy, episode 69.
Jesus.
69.
Oh boy. Yeah, so for Moose it was a miss. For me, I'm also gonna say it was a miss. Chocolate, you're giving this one a hit though, I'm assuming?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep, hit. I mean, for the poor controls and the laggy-esque look, it's no good, but I can tolerate those just because of the eerie feel it gave me, and I felt immersed, and the kind of the binary audio thing that they've got going on, like Hellblade, is unbelievable.
Yeah, and so it's really the story pushing you along. You're not there
definitely.
for the gameplay, and I think if you like this game, that's what you're here for. Is not the gameplay, but definitely the story and the surroundings, audio, that kind of stuff. All right,
100%.
I can't be pried away from Borderlands 3, so sorry.
It's not worth your
I'm
time.
just not going to pick this game up. Borderlands
I'm
2.
joking. Yeah, I'd much rather be playing that. All right, so that's going to wrap up this latest iteration of Game Pass Roulette. But what that means is that we now get a new game, and I get to choose this week. Well, this week's. Since Moose said it wasn't scary, he ended that clip with, this isn't a challenge for Risky and Chocolate to find a scarier game. So I think we should do that at some point. Maybe around Halloween we'll get them something real scary. The game I'm going with, though, sounds like a scary game. It's not, though, I promise. The game I'm going with is new to Game Pass, and that game is Creature in the Well. Have any idea what that is? Anyone? Bueller? No?
Nah.
All right. Let me give you a brief synopsis, then. So, Creature in the Well is a top-down pinball-inspired hack-and-slash dungeon crawler. As the latest remaining Bot C unit, venture deep into a desert mountain to restore power to an ancient facility haunted by a desperate creature. Uncover and upgrade powerful gear in order to free the city of Mirage from a deadly sandstorm. Yeah. So I'm most excited about this game because I think the combat looks awesome. As it states, it's very pinball inspired. I would think of your main character as being the pinball lever and then projectiles and stuff being the pinball. So kind of like a Jedi, just deflecting projectiles back at your foes and accomplishing puzzles and stuff that way. It looks super interesting. Just came out. I think this will be a good pick. I think people enjoy it, hopefully. But we'll find out, huh?
I can't wait for a 2-minute segment of Moose just bashing this game.
Yeah, that's usually what these come down to. Have you played Hello Neighbor? Give it a shot.
Oh, don't, Jesus, no.
All right, so Creature in the Well, that is your Game Pass Roulette game for the next couple weeks here. If you'd like to get in on the Game Pass Roulette conversation, join us in Discord. We have a channel over there just for Game Pass Roulette. Links for Discord are in the show notes, so come hang out with us and talk about the game. Questions, comments, that kind of stuff. Throw it over there. All right, so that is your Game Pass Roulette segment for this episode. So next up, we've got some news. All right, let's start off the news with some quick hits. If you guys have anything to add, just chime in. Otherwise, don't. It's up to you. So first up, Dauntless is leaving early access on September 16th. So that's next week. Exciting stuff. The 1.0 launch is going to come with a seasonal expansion called Aether Unbound, a new weapon. I'm assuming a new weapon class because that's kind of like what the weapons are. So a new weapon, sweet, a new hunt pass, and a new bounty system. I wonder if we'll get like a weird, hey, it's finally out on Switch, because they're kind of like recently they were like, hey, the Switch version of Dauntless is coming out, but we're not going to tell you when. This seems like it'd be a good time, but also seems like maybe that was something they would have touched on during this press release. So maybe not. We have a date for the Video Game Awards that Jeff Keighley sets up every year, and that date is December 12th. So mark it on your calendars. I'm sure we'll be talking about it over in Discord. I love the Game Awards. I think they just keep getting better. So December 12th, make sure you tune in for those. Next up, this is an exciting story. I'm sure Chocolate, you're going to be the most excited for this one.
This is the story of the week for sure.
100%. KFC is publishing a Colonel Sanders dating simulator. The name of this dating simulator is going to be I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating simulator.
Finger licking good. Episode 69.
KFC says the game is coming soon. So yeah, if your wildest fantasies included trying to date the Colonel himself, you can shortly look forward to that. Looks like this is only coming to PC. Thank God for that. And there's a whole trailer, and oh man,
I've seen that.
I don't know how this happened. I don't know if somebody hacked KFC's social media things or what. At first I was like, "There's no way this is real," and then you trace it back, and you're like, "Whoa, what's happening here?"
I know. I would have expected this out of like Wendy's.
Yeah, because if you look at the Wendy's Twitter account, it all makes sense.
But he's killing the game.
Oh yeah. Anyways, if you're into dating Colonel Sanders, there you go. That's exciting news for those people, I guess. Next up, this is gonna break some hearts and some minds for sure. So the X button on the PlayStation controller is not an X button at all. It's actually called the cross button. This whole debacle came from a tweet that PlayStation UK put out. The tweet said triangle, circle, cross, and square. If cross is called X, but it's not, then what are you calling circle? Oh boy. So who has ever played PlayStation in here and would just assume that X was an X and not a cross?
Yeah, nah. This is like when the creator of GIFs tried to tell everybody that it was GIF with a J.
You're lying to me.
With a G, and everybody was just like, nah, no.
Get out of here.
You're wrong. I know that you made this, but no.
The best part of all this is just the amount of memes that have come out of it. Like PlayStation's even coming in. There was like a SpongeBob one where it's like, let's go over shapes. This is a triangle. This is a circle. This is a square. What's that? X. It's like, nope, it's cross. And then someone called them, what was it? A slice of pizza for triangle, whole pizza for circle, box of pizza for square, and then the X was no pizza. If you're gonna do one thing today, well, two things. Go check out the KFC dating simulator because you have to at this point, and then just peruse the internet for PlayStation X/cross memes because they've been great. But yeah, so PlayStation controller, stop referring to that as X because that is a cross.
Nope.
Whew. No, I agree. Nope. Nope is right. What's next? Dragon Quest 1 through 3 are coming to the Switch September 27th. They will be priced $5, $6.50, and $12.50 accordingly. Dragon Quest 11 is coming out pretty soon here, so if you'd like to see what's going on in the trilogy of that game, they are coming, the original trilogy, they're coming to the Switch September 27th, so get in on that if it's something you're into, I guess. Those are the quick hits, though, and now we have a few more bigger stories. Maybe not even bigger. It's still kind of a slow news week. But so last week we touched on a weird Nintendo Fitness thing that got teased. We heard that there was going to be more info on this come September 12th. September 12th came and went, and we learned of the Ring Fit Adventure. Who would have called that as being the name of this weird exercise ring leg strap exercise game thing? It's so weird.
Why?
So the official peripheral names for these two components that we talked about last week are going to be the Ring Con, that is the weird exercise ring thing, and then the leg strap, super solid name, makes a lot of sense. A few things we learned about from this new video is that you can calibrate the Ring Con for different strength levels, so even your grandma or grandpa could play this game, so that's great news. Play some Switch in the living room with your grandma and grandpa, get active, you know. As far as the actual game that is Ring Fit Adventure, to me, it looks like it's an on-rails adventure game. So in order to move in the game, you're going to have to jog in real life. And that leg strap Nintendo Joy-Con, depending on how fast you are jogging, is going to move your character on screen. And then you can also do things like flick up the ring con that you're holding to do attacks. And then eventually you're going to run into enemies. So obviously you have to battle these enemies, and how else would you battle them other than with fit skills? So these fit battles, you'll be attacking people with... God, this is ridiculous. You're going to be attacking them with arm attacks, core attacks, thigh presses, episode 69, and yoga. So depending on what type of enemy you run into, certain enemies are going to be weak to certain attack types. So if you run into a big, scary flying dragon and he's like, I'm bad against yoga attacks, you're going to have to do some downward facing dog to attack him for
episode 69
for quadruple damage. And then if you'd like to shield yourself from incoming attacks, you're going to push the ring con against your abs as a shield. I didn't say this was a good idea. It also wasn't mine.
This is from The Onion, right? Like
that's what it sounds like, right?
Whole story.
This is another thing
product.
that I would say go out, watch the 7-minute YouTube video on this. And watch the two people presenting this. I swear to God, they are robots.
They're strange, those two.
Oh my God, dude. Oh, I'm not going to try to reenact it or say it, but just go watch it. It's real weird.
Do you think they've some sales have slumped and they want to jump back onto that Wii Fit kind of market?
I have no idea. I think just like every 10 ideas that come through Nintendo, they just kind of randomly pick one and they're like, yeah, that'll work. Okay. Somebody their biggest franchise is about a plumber. Like obviously they've got some weird ideas, so it's fine. Some other things to note, there's going to be leveling up. This is like a weird on rails running adventure RPG game kind of, I guess. There's also going to be different modes. You can do quick play or a thing called sets. That's just going to be more of your standard exercise stuff. This is totally just the new riff on Wii Fit, like we stated. And then there's also going to be a minigame mode where you can do some of those things with more of a game attached to it, like rock climbing. It'll actually put somebody up doing rock climbing on the screen rather than just you doing rock climbers in front of your TV. So there's that. This whole thing comes out October 18th for the low price of $79.99. That's the game, the ring con, and leg straps. So let's get out there and get healthy, folks. Let's do some yoga and kill skeletons and dragons and stuff.
Book our pre-order, game share partner.
Yep, it's
Let's
only
do
a
this.
Switch. We'll get it done. Yep.
Guys, save your money and go get COD instead. Jesus.
It's all right. So I am sold. I agree with you, Chocolate. Yikes. So yeah, Ring Fit Adventure. Go watch that trailer. It's a doozy for sure. All right. Next up, this was Ubisoft and shorter games. So CEO Yves Guillemot, speaking with GamesIndustry.biz, said that Ubisoft will no longer be creating smaller scaled games, but will focus more on inserting smaller scaled experiences and stories into their larger scaled titles. The quote on this was, "Our goal is to make sure you can have a Unity within an Odyssey." So he's obviously talking about Assassin's Creed games. Unity was smaller. Odyssey was humongous. If you want to have a story of 15 hours, you can have it, but you can also have other stories. You live in that world and you pursue what you want to pursue. You have an experience many Unity-like experiences. Man, that was a tough one to say for some reason. Reading's hard. What do you guys think about this? What do you think about Ubisoft ducking out on making any type of shorter experiences? I don't know, or trying to have, like, what he's saying makes no sense to me because you're not going to have this weird shorter experience within something like Odyssey and think of it as like, you're not going to put the game down after you do like a 15-hour side quest or something. Like, it's still a 60-hour game no matter how you cut it.
I think this makes total sense for Ubi, and I would expect nothing less from them. They basically, what they're trying to tell people is that they're going to continue to use these assets. So if they build a world like Odyssey and they devote all these assets to making the world huge, that instead of that being one game, they're basically telling people that that's going to be many games now. So they're going to make an experience for that you're going to play that's in that world, that may be in a part of that world, and then they're going to make another experience that's in the same world, but it's a totally different game and playthrough and maybe different characters and that type of stuff. And this is just a very fancy, dressed up way of telling people that we're going to sell you the same game in smaller sections many times instead of just once. That's all, which is perfect for Ubi. That's like the model. They've got that down pat at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting, I guess. But yeah, just knowing that they're kind of out on making any of the games that I want to play. Not that I don't mind playing a nice 60-hour Assassin's Creed game. I just don't have time for that. So now I'm just going to play some smaller games inside of my bigger games, apparently. So fun.
DLC,
Episode 69.
Yeah. All right. And then the last thing we have in the news, Apple Arcade. That whole thing was finally released at Apple's keynote this past week. So we have some information on that. The whole thing is releasing September 19th, which is that's this upcoming Thursday. So that's here. And that's going to be $4.99 a month, unlimited access on up to 5 devices. So if you have a MacBook, you have Apple TV, you have your iPhone or whatever, you buy it once and it's everywhere. And then if you're on an Apple family share plan, which can have up to 6 family members, that one subscription is also good for all of them. So that's good. Dog just bursted in here. Jeez. What else? So you'll be able to play this on iPhone, Macs, iPads, Apple TV. They have software that's coming out on the 19th when this launches that will allow you to play with PlayStation and Xbox controllers. So that's good because a lot of these games, they're launching with 100 of them, and a lot of them seem like they'd be really tough with a touchscreen on an iPhone, and some of them doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So for that, or for Apple TV even, that's just a standard TV remote looking thing. How do you play a game with that? So you will have support to hook up PlayStation and Xbox controllers. They are going to have a free trial for it, so the first month is going to be 100% free. They are going to have exclusives. That makes sense. And this isn't streaming. You can download all of the titles here, so that's good. No ads or in-app purchases. You know exactly what you're getting yourself into. No microtransactions, that kind of stuff. And then they just went over a few of the games. I picked out a few that I thought looked interesting. There's one called Skate City. That's just a skate game, but you're going to swipe your phone or use the analog sticks to do the tricks, that kind of stuff. The sequel to Enter the Gungeon, which is being called Exit the Gungeon, is actually debuting there, so that's kind of weird. But it's a 2D version of Enter the Gungeon instead of the top-down version. I feel like it's going to be super tough to play on a touchscreen. Doesn't that sound rough?
The title sounds rough.
Exit the Gungeon?
Thanks, Chocolate.
Boy, where do we go from here?
Episode 60.
Oh, yeah.
And then Overland, it's a turn-based post-apocalyptic roguelike, so just all those things sound good to me, with a super weird art style. But and then I put down a bonus game. It's called Hot Lava. Do you remember the game The Floor is Lava when you were a kid? Everyone?
Yeah, it meant you were poor.
100%.
Isn't that a Daniel Tosh joke?
It is, yes. It meant one thing. You were poor. So they turned this into a 3D platformer where you're just hopping around a house in 3D, jumping from the couch to the table, and then the floor is legitimately lava. So that's fun. But that's my bonus game.
Innocent G-rated fun for the family. That's great.
Yeah.
This is not episode 69 approved.
No.
Sorry.
My bad. Yeah. So, like I said, 100 titles. This is, and a lot of them, like they seem like quality games for a lot of the stuff I've seen, and a lot of these games when they release on other platforms are going to cost, say, $20 by themselves. If you sign up for Apple Arcade for just a month at $4.99, I think this is a super easy way to get into some of these games, but you do need Apple stuff, which maybe not everyone has. If you're on Android, or if you have a PC and not a Mac, that kind of thing, no accessibility there. So, yeah, looks interesting.
Well, I might try it.
All right,
Maybe.
great.
Hard pass for me. Great segment though.
All right, so games coming out this week. We're almost done. Coming out the day this launches, September 17th, we have Castle Crashers Remastered coming out on the Switch and the PS4. What a great game for the Switch. That is a fun little...
that game was made for the Switch.
Right? It's and like having the Joy-Cons where one person can play one guy and one person can play the other. Like it makes
so good.
Makes so much sense. September 19th, we have Devil May Cry 2 coming to the Switch, and then the game Overland, which I just talked about. That was the turn-based post-apocalyptic roguelike that's coming out on Apple Arcade. That's also coming out on Switch and PC. So there's that. And then this Friday, which is probably the biggest day of the week, September 20th, Untitled Goose Game is coming out. If you guys haven't seen stuff on this, you know how awful geese are. Now you can be the goose and just wreak havoc on like towns and stuff and like steal people's stuff like phones. It's the most quirky, like fun little game I've seen in a long time. So definitely give a trailer of that a watch. It's interesting to say the least. Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch is coming out everywhere except for Xbox on Friday. And then the one that I'm excited for, and Chocolate, maybe you'll get into this, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the remaster, is coming out on Switch this Friday. So I'm assuming that's what some people will be excited for this week.
Definitely.
All right, great. That's it, though, unless I missed something.
Nope.
You ready for bed?
Summertime.
And the living's
Goodbye.
easy. All right, let's plug this sinking ship up.
A couple more weeks and a couple more months and
games.
Oh.
We got Borderlands to hold us over for 20 to 30 hours, from what I've heard.
I appreciate their release date so much.
Yes, agreed.
Get a little stir crazy.
Well, they could have waited like an extra week after Gears came out. Although, look, you managed to get through Gears and then hit Borderlands directly after it, so maybe it was actually perfect.
Because my priorities are in order.
Yes, I know. All right, head on over to iTunes. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Leave us a review. Leave us a 5-star review, obviously, even if you hate it. 5-star reviews make the most sense because the most stars is the most fun, right? Yep, that's how that works.
Love it.
And yeah, we have had a few reviews lately, so shout out to those people. You guys are awesome. Join us on Discord. Talked about it a couple times during the podcast, and we will continue to talk about it during every podcast because it's the best place to be. It's where all of us hang out, including the Danpod. So links for Discord are there. We've got channels for just about everything. Maybe we'll open up a channel 69 for the next week just to celebrate episode 69. No, that's a really bad idea, isn't it?
Totally.
Endless shit posting.
Yep. Okay, so scratch that. We're not going to do that. I lied. If you'd like to support the show with your hard-earned money, you can head on over to patreon.com/CAG podcast. Be like Snoozles or Tim Fielding, who won our Patreon giveaway this past week. So thank you, patrons. You guys are the best. Social media, yes, Twitter and Instagram, we are at CAG Podcast. And then if you need to reach out to us via email for anything, cagpodcast@gmail.com. I am at Risky the Kid everywhere. Chocolate, where can the people find you?
Chocolate Bear 80 everywhere.
And Danpod, do the people want to find you?
I mean, that's up to them, man.
What's your info? Social
It's not
Security, bank
Danpod 69,
number.
although I wish it was.
Well, we can change that, I'm sure.
Danpod 6969. No, it's Danpod 5150 on Xbox and Danpod everywhere else.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Cross Atlantic Gaming. Thanks, everybody, for listening. But we'll catch you guys next week for an all-new episode. Goodbye.
Take care.
See ya. All right. Who's got the dad jokes? Chocolate Dad?
I brought some 69 jokes.
Oh, God.
Episode 69.
I'm just going to have to cut out this whole section.
No, I haven't got any. I've got one joke. A man tried to sell me a coffin today. I said, that's the last thing I needed. That was poor.
That's not great.
No.
Did you read that one before you just read it?
I did.
Was that your first time reading it right there?
No. I read that before. That was absolute dog shit.
What do you call an old person with really good hearing? Deaf-defying.
No.
Oh. The dad joke puns.
My wife keeps telling me to stop pretending to be butter, but I'm on a roll now. Yeah, these are rough.
What rhymes with orange?
Nothing.
No, it doesn't. Oh, Jesus.
How does Darth Vader like his toast?
On the dark side.
Boom! All right, hey. Someone's got to ruin my jokes, I guess. Thanks, Chocolate.
That's all right.
Oh, my God. I'm going to hit the stop recording button.